Doesn't. Oh, test, yeah. Test 1, 2. It's kind of loud. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Test.
Hey Dave, are you there?
Hello.
Hey, are you there, Dave?
Yeah, I hear you. Do you got us? Copy that.
So you're going to see probably two things for me. You're seeing my phone right now, the 209-471-6782. And you're probably going to see my, you'll see my computer. But I'm going off of my phone because I got an unstable internet connection. So, so I can just see things better.
Stan, don't worry about it. A number of people
Okay,
have done
cool.
that, so that's not a big deal.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure.
No problem. You should be able to use your
Okay.
email for both logins.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah.
Okay.
So. Sure.
Yep. Room clear.
Dave. Never, I was just saying hi, sorry.
Hello, Pinole, and all other interested parties. Welcome to the June 27th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting. And I'm a little bit confused here, Justin. Should I be reading all of this stuff about getting into the meeting, or should we just start with the pledge?
We could identify the ways to watch the meeting.
Okay. And before we get into the meeting, just want to let you know that we have a hybrid viewing here. You can either be attending at the city council or the city hall at 2131 Pear Street, or you can be live in channel 26. The meeting can be, I don't know why I'm reading all this stuff, because you're either watching it or you're not right now at this point. If you know how to get in, you know how to get in. So I think I'm gonna skip the ways to watch the meeting and just how to submit public comments. In person, you can attend the meeting at the City Hall Council chambers, fill out a yellow public comment card and submit to the planning manager. Or via Zoom, members of the public may submit a live remote public comment via Zoom video conferencing. Download the Zoom app. Well, you already know that. You'd be able to just raise your hand, I believe, and just be able to get a comment. And speakers will be asked to provide their name and city of residence, although providing is not required for participation. Each speaker will be afforded up to 3 minutes to speak. Speakers will be muted until their opportunity to provide public comment. And written comments can be submitted to dhanham@ci.pinole.ca.us. I'm sure that will be displayed on the screen. So with that, I would like to call to order and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America, which stands nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and for all.
Okay. I all forgot how to say that, I think. Okay, before we start, I'd like to do a land acknowledgement. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Ohlone people who, the traditional custodians of this land. We pay our respects to the Ohlone elders, past, present, and future, who call this place Ohlone land, the land that Pinole sits upon their home. We are proud to continue their tradition of coming together, growing as a community. We thank the Ohlone community for their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties as we continue our relationship of mutual respect and understanding. Move on to roll call. Justin?
Commissioner Curran,
Here?
Commissioner Banuelos, Commissioner Menez,
Here.
Commissioner Benzuli,
Here,
and we will note that Commissioner Moriarty and Commissioner Martinez are out.
Okay. I think there will-
Oh, and he is out as well.
Okay, so we have a bare quorum. Okay, we'll go to citizens. Yes,
I just want to confirm with the city attorney. I know you read this off because I read it too, where it says people have 3 minutes to speak. It's really 5, right?
It is really 5. I believe that that 5 has always been the practice of the planning commission, and 3 has been the practice of the city council. And I believe that the beginning of the agenda with all that technical information about participating online inadvertently got copied from the city council agenda. So 5 minutes for public comment.
okay. Yeah, actually, it says here citizens be heard. It does say 5 minutes there. Okay, we'll go with citizens to be heard. The public may address the planning commission on items that are within its jurisdiction, but not otherwise listed on the agenda. Planning commissioners may discuss the matter brought to their attention, but by state law, the Ralph M. Brown Act, action must be deferred to a future meeting. Time allowed, 5 minutes each. So, Justin, do we have any?
Yes, I do see one hand raised in the phone number ending in 5748. Okay, and the speaker is available to speak right now.
Great.
Please press *6 to unmute.
Welcome, 5748.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Anthony, and on behalf of my my neighbors, friends, and fellow Pinole citizens, I would like to ask the Planning Commission for some help and direction on brought up before. First is the state on the reconstruction or the repairs of the 2 large creek banks along the Pinole Creek behind the Way Shopping Center, behind the Wing Stop store and Sprout big section that would fill a Mack truck has been tarped over several times over the last several years. It's now filled up with a little bit of weed, so you can't really see it. I guess people like that camouflage effect. But the city is supposed to get back to us and let the county know how and when they were going to address repairing that before the next major rain. Part of the creek there, or the sidewalk, and maybe the approach upon the driveways around the end of that parking center. But no one has given us any feedback as to that. Granted, it's a situation with both the city and the Public Works Department of Contra Costa County for their water storm district, as we found out the hard way. But you know, it's the squeaky wheel gets the grease here, and if we don't address it or stay on top of it, we'll have the big breach anymore. We'll just have the side of the hill cave in. That's one of the other related issue to that is the breach on the old Adobe Road trail behind the Adobe Road Dog Park. And we found out from some of the county people that, or their staffers or the city, but our other people did their due. That property is shared between the city of the east Chief Coons, about 4 or 5 years ago, before he retired, he went on record with Mayor Pfister at that time, and he told the city council in a publicized live council meeting that they had to address that between the state, the county, the fire district, and the east out there that breaches into a big frog pond, which parallels the creek right nearby, and they're supposed to trail. But all they did was put up a sign, trail closed 100 yards away. And secondly, the other item I wanted to address was the permanent closure of the city's animal shelter on San Pablo Avenue. And we can't get a straight answer from the animal shelter people out in Martinez, who came and made a presentation last week or a couple of weeks ago, that is, or that from the city council as far as this big secret about the new tenant that's going into that parcel there on San Pablo Avenue, as to what kind of business they do, what kind of services are they providing as a nonprofit. When do they plan to reconstruct that building and or open it for business? And we need some clarification on that moving forward. But the city council went ahead, and shame on them, they went ahead and approved a tax rate increase to all the city of Pinole for continuation of some animal shelter services, and signed up for another 3 years without having to hold them accountable or get back to us and give us any specifics on that new property tenant there, after misleading and lying to us several times that the building was going to be retrofitted with $75,000 up about 4 or 5 years ago, which animal shelter spokesperson said he would do, as well as the landlord didn't wanted a new tenant in there and wanted to kick them out, and some other excuses aside from we had to close temporarily due to COVID. And lastly, can we give us an update on the Safeway Tower Hills build out? It seems to be delayed several times with multiple extensions, with issues and problems. So who's being held accountable for that? Is it Albertson Safeway's problem? Is it the city's problem with permitting and or the landlord's problem? And why can't we get a better build out date as far as accurate startup date and accurate completion date? Because we're playing second, if not third fiddle to the Safeway in Hercules, the Safeway gas station in Hercules, and other other properties and other concerns in and around the city. And that being said, with the build out of the new housing project across the street at the old Doctor's Hospital property across from CVS, I think the Planning Commission should hold the city accountable, if not Albertson, to give us a formal traffic study to know how much traffic we're going to endure during construction weeks or months that it goes on and on between those two projects, what right across the intersection and stoplight from each other, as well as the traffic and health and safety concerns of the general public that goes through that area every day or every night or every morning of the week.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your time is expired. I think you brought up some very interesting points. If you have one sentence that you would just like to summarize with or continue with, I'll allow that, but otherwise we'll have to move on to the next speaker.
Those are all the speakers.
What's that?
Those are all the speakers.
That's all the speakers? Okay, well, I thought that unfortunately, it's hard to hear names. But I think that you brought up some very interesting points. But one thing I want to clarify is that when you were talking about the weeds, I was confused because I was thinking you were talking about the weeds by the bowling alley and Sprouts. And then you mentioned which I thought was Wingstop, which is of course on Fitzgerald Drive. So if you could clarify for me exactly what area you were talking about, I would appreciate that.
The speaker is no longer on the call, but I think he might be referring to Fire Wings in that same Sprouts Shopping Center.
Fire Wings. Okay. All right. And I guess the Adobe Road, I guess is where the dog park is. Assume that's where that is. And I did not know about the closure of the pet shelter. That'd be kind of interesting to hear an update on, and also the Safeway delays. I think that's a good point. And traffic study, I think that's something that I would like to see, but I think that's more of a city council issue. Justin or David, do you want to make any comments on the issues that were brought up in that call?
Yeah, and can you hear me?
I hear you. Thanks, David.
Okay. Yeah. Regarding the Safeway, we're
Dave,
working with
you're
the applicant right
echoing.
now.
There's two of you on the screen. Like, I don't know if you have your phone and your computer, but if you could mute one, maybe that would solve it.
Okay, how's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. In regards to the Safeway, we're working with the applicant right now. We'll be probably bringing an extension to the council here later this month. We've been working with them on what's been going on there. They've had some issues with Safeway. They've had some issues with some of the financing, and so we're working with them in front of the council on for that issue. All the parks and all of the stuff regarding the creek. That's all the Contra Costa County Flood Control District, and we're trying to work with them. We haven't seen I haven't heard back from them. I've tried calling them a couple of times, haven't gotten return calls yet. I'm trying to get their capital improvement plan that would hopefully be able to give us an idea of where they're. So that's something that's ongoing because they're outside agencies we're working with. They have jurisdiction. We all have jurisdictions over certain parts of it and easements over certain parts of it. Anything that gets off the trail is no longer the city. It's either the counties or the flood control district. So where we might have a trail there on the bank or something of that nature, that's more of the city's right, easements and right of ways. But the rest of it all belongs to either the county or the flood control. So we are trying to get in contact with them on that. It just haven't been very successful. So we'll continue to keep trying to make sure we get a hold of them and see where they are in terms of their improvement schedule. So that's all I have for that tonight.
Thank you. That's a good update. Any comments by the about this speaker by the commissioners?
I guess I'm curious whether the city or the planning commission in particular has any jurisdiction over the Adobe Road trail breaches repairs, because I know that Tony mentioned that he'd been informed that a prior city council meeting several years ago, but it was a joint responsibility of the city and the East Bay Parks District. But I was wondering if staff had any information about that.
That's something that I'll have to look into to see what is our responsibility or what is our, compared to their responsibility. So there could be some, like I said, there could be some small things that we do compared outside the city limits, and that's probably where we need a little more information on where we can go with that one. That one I'm just not quite sure where who owns what, who's responsible for what. I'll check with Chief Weinkoop and see where I can see if he can't give me some answers or some people I can contact, and we'll move forward from there.
Okay, Tim or Adam, do you have any questions or comments? Thank you. Do we have any more citizens to be heard?
No, that's all.
That's all. Well, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, the meeting minutes, the Planning Commission meeting minutes of May 9th, 2022. Any comments about that? Any motion to accept? So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the Planning Commission meetings of May 9th,
Second.
2022.
I'll second that.
Already been second. This was
Oh.
moved by Tim and seconded by Raphael. Any comments? If not, we'll take a vote. I guess we need to do a roll call vote.
I'm here. Let's see, Commissioner Menace,
Aye.
Commissioner Banuelos.
Aye.
Commissioner Benzuli
Aye.
and Commissioner Curran.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. Okay, we'll move on to E, public hearings. At the beginning of an item, the chair will read the description of that item as stated on the agenda. The city staff will then give a brief presentation on the proposed project. The commission may then ask staff questions about the item. For those items listed as public hearings, the chair will open the public hearing and ask the applicant if they wish to make a presentation. Those persons in favor of the project will be given an opportunity.
Are you ready?
What's going on?
I'm gonna try to move to a better location.
I think Dave Hanahan's internet appears to have frozen, but hopefully he'll be joining us.
Okay, so anyways, those persons in favor of the project will be given an opportunity to speak, followed by those who oppose the project. The applicant will then be given the opportunity for rebuttal. The public hearing will then be closed and the commission may discuss the item amongst themselves and ask questions of staff. The commission will then vote to approve, deny, approve with modified form, or continue the matter to a later date for a decision. The chair will announce the commission's decision and advise the audience of the appeal procedure. Note, no public hearings will begin at 11 p.m. Items still remaining on the agenda after 11 p.m. will be held over to the next meeting. And we have one hearing on the agenda, which is one conditional use permit, CUP 22-01 East Bay Coffee Alcohol Sales Use Permit Modification. The request, consideration of a use permit request for modification of an existing use permit currently allowing beer and wine sales to expand alcoholic beverages options under a type 47 liquor license. The application is Lisa and Sura at 2529 San Pablo Avenue, Pinole, California, 94564. The location is 2529 San Pablo Avenue, APN 401-184-015. And the planner will be David Hanna. And
Did you guys all hear me?
yes, we can.
Okay. So thank you, Commissioner Curran, or Chair Curran tonight. You almost gave my whole staff report, at least the first 5 minutes of it. I appreciate it. But just to kind of give you some background on East Bay Coffee. In 2012, East Bay Coffee was established at 2529 San Pablo Avenue as principally a permitted cafe. On April 22nd, 2013, a CUP was granted by the Planning Commission for amplified music and live entertainment for inside the building. On September 5th, 2017, the City Council approved a convenience and necessity determination to support a request for the premise of sale of beer and wine, in which on October 23rd, 2017, the Planning Commission approved Resolution 1713 granting the premise the sale of beer and wine. The July 27th to 2720, with the City Council Resolution 2003, the East Bay copy was granted by the Planning Commission for an amendment to allow outdoor dining, on-site alcohol sales in the outdoor dining patio. On April 20th, 2022, East Bay Coffee applied for an amendment to their CUP 1703 to allow for the premise of on sale of distilled spirits in addition to their existing offerings of beer and wine. Prior to the Planning Commission considering the request for PNC determination by the City Council is required, and at the regular meeting on June 7th, 2022, the City Council approved or adopted Resolution 2240 to approve the public convenience necessity for the allowance to sell distilled spirits, or the upgrade of the license from Type 431 to Type 47. As you're aware, the site is located at 2529 San Pablo Avenue. It's got to the north of the property, it's commercial uses and some residential and auto repair shop. To the west of it is existing commercial uses. To the south, basically Rafaela Street, private parking for the Church of Christ, and some single-family residences are right behind the building. Also to the east, directly to the east, there's a single-family residence. So with that, with the alcohol sales and conditional use permit, East Bay Coffee has applied for a modification of their liquor license for Type 41 to Type 47. The Type 41 allows for on-site sale of beer and wine within an eating establishment, whereas Type 47 license allows for the additional on-site sales of distilled spirits. The approval of the requested action to obtain the Type 47 for a full-service alcohol will require the East Bay Coffee to both obtain a PCN from the City Council pursuant to Section 17.59 of Pinole Municipal Code and a Planning Commission approval of an amendment to the current CUP. Staff is listed in terms of census tract. The business is located in census tract 3591.03, includes a portion of Pinole North Interstate 80 and east of Appian Way. Table 2 includes a complete list of existing businesses with on-site alcohol sales licenses within the tract 3591. As you can see, some of them only have the on-site, like King Valley and New Goo Na, Chinatown Town. They just have on-site beer and wine. But Antlers, Tina, Fair Street, Pinole Creek Cafe all have full liquor Type 47 licenses. So we listed them all. It does create an oversaturation, which by doing public convenience necessity, that the council made allow them to move forward to the Planning Commission tonight. East Bay Coffee has stated that beer, wine, distilled spirits will enable them to offer a more complete dining experience, including soup, salad, sandwiches, and dinner meals, as well as provide a greater convenience for customers seeking alcoholic beverages with their meal, similar to offerings available at several nearby restaurants. Proposed beer and wine and distilled spirits would be allowed both inside the restaurant as well as the outdoor dining area of the restaurant. The applicant submitted documentation of company procedures for alcohol sales. For staff review, cashiers and servers at East Bay Coffee are required to complete the ABC Form 299, which addresses sales to underage persons, purchase of alcoholic beverages by underage persons, attempts to purchase alcohol beverages, and other sales related matters. Birthday entry. Also, birthday entry at cash registers is required for all alcohol sales at East Bay Coffee, and the business hours currently are from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday to Saturday, and 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Sundays. At this point, there'll be no changes. However, we've been talking to the applicant. She has some questions for tonight, and she's here tonight, so she'll be able to do that. Staff went through the findings process because as of 17.59030 requires that findings are required. Staff has listed those findings. If you want to go through them individually, I can. If not, they're all listed in the staff report. This project is exempt from CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act, based on 15301. Existing facilities of each guidelines. Staff is recommending the planning commission take the following action in holding a public hearing and adopt resolution 2204 approving an amendment to conditional use permit 1703 to allow East Bay Coffee to upgrade its liquor license from type 41 to type 47 for the purpose of selling beer, wine, and distilled spirits in the cafe as well as an approved outdoor dining area. So with that, we have the resolution. I did make 2 changes, amendments to the condition of approval. Number 4, which I overwrote as no patrons can take alcohol beverages. Sorry, it's flipped up. Alcoholic drinks shall be inside restaurant. No patrons can take alcohol from indoor eating to outdoor eating areas. Made another amendment on condition. Basically stated I added all alcohol sales shall end 30 minutes prior to closing. Patrons must leave the premises 30 minutes after the end of operating hours. So those were the 2 of the 3. When I made one more, just more of a info item on condition number 29. That all lighting in the outdoor areas should not be invasive on neighbors and will be approved by the community development director or his or her designee. Now that we have a community development director, so I wanted to make that change as well. So with that, that ends my staff report. The applicant I know is here, probably would want to make comments. And so with that, that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, oh, thank you, David. I have a quick question for you. You know, even though I'm last, I just kind of want to get it off. The condition 4, where you changed it, there shall be no sale of alcoholic off-site to outdoor consumption. And then it says,
Right.
You struck that, you said all alcoholic drinks shall be made inside the restaurant. No patrons can take alcohol from indoor eating to outdoor eating area. I'm curious about why you changed that, because when we made the approval for their beer and alcohol license, part of that was the serving of alcohol in the outdoor area. So why is there a take back?
Well, I kind of rewrote after I looked at that condition. I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to bring that up. What I intended with that condition was that I wanted to make sure that if you were in the outdoor eating area and you ordered a cocktail or a beer or a glass of wine, that you couldn't just get up and walk into the restaurant and order your meal, and vice versa. If you're in the restaurant and you order alcohol or those types of things, that you can't take that alcohol to the outdoor dining area. The reason being is that they don't really have what I would call direct access. They have indirect access. They have to come out of the building. They have to come Hollow Avenue to go into the other area where the outdoor dining area is. So what I was trying to do was trying to not allow for alcohol to go cross back and forth for the patrons. Only the staff could, take drinks out there or clean up or that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of where we need to massage. We might need to massage that condition a little bit, but that was the intent.
Okay, so you're not against I don't know, what was the impetus for this? Was this something that you desired? Were there complaints by neighbors or?
No, I mean, this was something that I thought because there's no, I mean, in most patios, you're in the restaurant and you walk out a door into their patio area, right? In most cases. Well, in this case, you don't. In this case, you have to walk outside, down the ramp, either onto the sidewalk or down the ramp into their outdoor area. And so from a safety standpoint and from a can't hand off a drink to somebody on the outside as you're walking outside and going into the other area. I would just want to make sure that if you bought alcohol in the outdoor dining area, that's where it stayed. And if you had if you bought it in a restaurant, that stayed in the restaurant. I mean, if they were able to create an access that would go straight from the restaurant to the outdoor area, that's one thing. But because the outdoor area is fenced in. So So that was my intent, was to keep it off of San Pablo. Or the
Okay,
potential of kept it on San Pablo.
I think this is gonna be something we can discuss with the applicant when it's their turn. I was just curious about what the
Yeah.
the reasoning behind that was. I kind of jumped ahead of the line here, which I guess is my prerogative, which, you know, something as a chair I can do. So I will ask the rest of the commissioners about whether they have any questions for staff. I'll start with Adam, since you're off-site via Zoom. Do you have any questions for Mr. Hannum?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have all the history on this as maybe some of the other commissioners do. I don't think I was involved in the first conditional use permit, but how does this come to the planning commission and what is the relation to the PNC?
Well, what happens is that anytime that either a business applies for an alcohol license or upgrades their alcohol license, they're required to do a conditional use permit. Okay. And because East Bay Coffee had a conditional use permit, all we need to do is modify their permit to allow for the upgrade of the license or the allowance of selling alcohol. Where the council gets involved is that ABC has said that there's an oversaturation of licenses within the census tract. And so what ABC does then at that point tells the city that you've got to make certain findings to allow for this additional company that wants to sell beer and wine. So you have to get the public convenience necessity first, because if you don't have that, you can't come to the commission to modify the permit, right? So we go to the city council first to get the public convenience necessity findings, and they made those when they adopted resolution 22 on the last meeting. And so now you guys, now that they have the ability to do that through the PCN, now to approve the modification to upgrade the license. So
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Are we?
Yeah, you're the last stop unless somebody appeals your decision to the
Fair
council.
point. Okay. Great. Again, thanks, Dave. I don't have any other further.
Thank you, Adam.
Or Hannah.
Rafael Mendes, do you have any questions for staff?
I don't think so. No, this seems like a pretty clear project. The council has made the necessary finding of necessity, so we're just evaluating the amended conditional use permit to make sure that it fits with the general plan and so on and so forth. So no questions.
Thank you. Tim Manuelos, do you have any questions for staff?
Yeah, I'm a little confused with staff's kind of evaluation on this. I mean, I'm not against them modifying their alcohol license. It's just that well, my first question is, if you're not allowing them to go out into the street, how's that enforced? The other thing is, you were saying that you're trying to keep this back and forth going between the outside and the inside, which I think's never going to work. They're always going to be coming inside or out. There's no way to take care of that. But you were saying that they would be, you're trying to keep them from going out on the San Pablo Avenue, which I could see that, but there's also an access point prior to you going into San Pablo Avenue. If I remember from the last project where they did the fence and all that stuff, they were creating an opening on the property that gets you into the outside area from the front kind of deck entrance area. So,
Right.
So when you combine that with it, and you'll have to correct me if this is right. It sounds like there's one set of rules for the beer and wine and another set of rules for the type 47 alcohol. And so if you have it one way, if you can come in and out with beer and wine, and maybe you can't, how are you enforcing, the non-beer and wine alcohol? So,
As part of their last one, they had like an outdoor cantina. And so based on discussion from the applicant was that the employees would be coming out from the backside. There's an entrance in the front of the building, there's an entrance in the back of the building. There's the entrance into the outdoor patio from the rear of the building. So it's my understanding from the applicant, basically the placement of the little cantina, that monitoring whether or not they're going in and out with alcohol and all that. I never intended that somebody could go in, buy a beer, and then walk outside, outside on front of the street, and then go into their outdoor area. I was that when I was, as you know, you get better looks at the project each time it comes forward. One of those things that, and now we're adding the spirits. I just thought that, you know, I mean, you can allow it. I mean, I just thought from a safety standpoint that if you're buying alcohol or beer and wine in the outdoor area, then you stay in the outdoor area. If you're buying alcohol in the restaurant, until there is at least some direct access from the building to the outdoor area. Right now, there's not. Everything's indirect. You have to come out of the building, come out on the deck, and walk their way in, and then on the back way, well, that's the backside of the kitchen. They wouldn't be coming out that. Customers wouldn't be coming out that way anyway. So they would need to build something that either a cover to where you couldn't access the San Pablo or something of that nature, and then have them. Then if they want to go back and forth, they can go back and forth. I just thought because of the indirect access to the outdoor patio area, that it would make sense that we try to limit patrons going back and forth with alcohol. That's all. Okay. So, but you can allow it. That's, if you want to not have that, that's fine too. You allow patrons to do that. That's up to the commission.
And
want to change that.
okay, and then my other question is, and this is kind of thinking ahead, and I don't think they've even thought of this. What if they wanted to do a parklet out in front there at some point? Would that be would they be allowed to have people with beer and wine and I guess distilled drinks out there like that? Because I know in other cities they do.
Well, they're allowed to eat if they're in the parklet area. Yeah, they're not allowed to get up and move around with them. If they were to do a parklet, then they would have to come back to the commission, get us a modification of their use permit. They'd come back to the commission for that.
Yeah, and we don't have that totally set up yet. That's fine. But so what's the difference between them having a parklet where they can go out and drink and walking in that, you know, out the entrance deck and do that opening into the yard? To me, it sounds like the same thing.
You go in, you sit down, you order your beer and wine, you have your beer and wine, and then you leave and you drink and you eat, and then you get up and leave. Normally it's not a bar, like I'll say it's not like a bar situation where they're going out there, they're drinking, and then now all of a sudden they're up and moving around on the right of way, or they're not, or if they are, there's usually a direct line to the business. Or there's there's usually staff that monitors those areas, in which case then staff would be able to work with the patrons to, if they need something, or if they need another drink, or they need something that they would help in that regard. And so they don't. I mean, like I said, I mean, we can change that. And that's not a,
I mean, I'm like I said, I'm not against this. It's just that I'm trying to, the staff's wording on all this seems a little fuzzy to me. So it'd be, I think it's that we need to really kind of ferret out, mainly for, you know, for the applicant and the public, so everybody knows what's supposed to be going on. And I think it's something that could be fairly easily done without anybody losing anything on this. It's just clarification more than anything else. That's all I have.
Thank you, Tim. Does Raphael, have your hand up?
Yes, I was looking around a bit actually to see if I could find an image of the entryway to East Bay Coffee to see how it linked up to the patio area. And I was able to find it using Google Street View. It looks roughly like, let's see if I can adjust it. So it's actually,
Let's all go to our Google.
So like this. So basically the ramp is directly next to the entryway. So I think that if the major concern is the distance between leaving the entrance and moving into the side patio area, I'm not necessarily sure that the few feet between the end of the staircase and the ramp area is a major enough gap to justify those restrictions. I mean, if you had to go around, say, to somewhere around here, and then there was a gap there, so you'd have to actually walk on San Pablo Avenue proper to get to the ramp entrance. That I could see as justifying the indoors, outdoors differentiation. But here it's basically going down a few steps, turning right, and you're not actually quite entering the public right of way, I don't think, because you're still in the space between the green that sort of marks the boundary between the sidewalk proper and the ramp area.
I'm going to cut you off here, Raphael, because I think this topic needs a little bit of discussion. I'd like to hear from the applicant on their views. I think what we're just trying to clarify here was the staff's rationale as to why that condition was modified. And I think it's certainly going to be a topic of discussion with the applicant, certainly amongst the planning commissioners when it comes to our time to talk. But right now it's kind of like trying to clarify the staff report.
Okay, I just figured that information will be worth considering in addition to the staff report.
It definitely will be. It definitely will be. I'm just trying to go by the protocol of the public hearing, to limit our discussion here to kind of clarifying what the staff report is and what their thinking was. We're not trying to resolve anything here. So I'm not trying to cut you off by the fact that I don't think it's important. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to follow the protocol of the.
Okay, you're just saying this is the appropriate time to introduce new information. Got it.
Yeah. So. Anyways, does anybody else have any questions for the staff? Okay. With that, I'd like to open up the public hearing. Have Ms. doing the gavel. And if the applicant could speak and obviously I'd like you to address this issue with the indoor outdoor stuff. And also, before you start, I don't believe that you've opened up that space yet, have you?
We haven't, no. And one thing that we could put on the table is that it will, the scenario has changed just a little bit with the landlord due to the passing of her spouse and her accepting the responsibility as the leaseholder for the project. Her spouse took care of that in the past. So we are looking at probably some time before we finish that project, unfortunately, but we are looking at still being able to do that as soon as we can, but we're in the middle of just negotiating that scenario right now. So
Okay.
It's not something that would be urgent, but it is something that we would like to see go ahead and continue so that the use permit
Yeah,
would
you're
not
missing some nice
change.
summer days here. But
Yes.
before I put the cart before the horse here a little bit because you need to introduce yourself.
Thank you. I'm Lisa Ansera. I'm here with my husband, Bill, and we are representing East Bay Coffee. We appreciate your time and we are grateful to be able to come before the commission with your valuable agenda of items, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, first of all, I want to say I like the color of your husband's shirt.
He can give you any fashion tips later on.
I think you heard our discussion about the serving into the outdoor area. And I think there's a lot of concern in this commission that we would like to continue what we approved before about allowing the alcohol service. Do you understand the issues and do you have any comments about possible solutions?
We do. We concur with the council's concern. And when we did the construction project with the fence, that was one thing that we addressed. We made sure that the fence was to the council and the commission's specs, so that the height of the fence was such and the gap closure with the ADA rail was such that there would be a clear entrance off of the sidewalk for any passageway there. And we could certainly visit that as we need to, but we do feel like we address those issues in the construction of our original request. So other than that, we'd be happy to discuss anything that you guys felt was necessary.
Okay. Is that your presentation? I mean, you're satisfied, so you're just there for questions from the commissioners.
We are. There is one thing that we were going to ask. I discussed it earlier with Dave, and he said it would be appropriate to bring it up here at the meeting. We were just going to request that the business hours, we are looking to try to add a dinner service, and the hours reflected in our previous in the previous statements were reflected less of a food service and more of just a coffee service. And since we are going to expand into a food service later on, along with the beer and wine and cocktails, we would like to request that we go from the existing open time of 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday through Wednesday, and 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Thursday through Saturday. So the only difference would be a closing time of 10 p.m. Sunday through Wednesday, a closing time of 11 p.m. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, with the previously requested last call 30 minutes prior to close.
Oh. Something that, well, I don't know, I'm kind of taking over, but I think I'm gonna let the rest of the commissioners ask the questions. Tim, do you have any questions?
Oh, sorry there. Tell me if I got this right. What was your, it sounded like there's something was going to be going on with that your staff was going to do as part of the service. And tell me if this is right. Did you say something, or was it said that they're going to bring drinks out to people, or are people allowed to go? I mean, in your idea, would people be allowed to go, from inside to outside, or vice versa?
At this point, the outside, we would not be using the outside space as of yet. But the original intention would be for there to be service. And Bill, please correct me if I'm wrong, but the original intention was that there would be servers that would deliver food and drinks to the outdoor space.
Okay.
Do you feel that that's correct?
That gives it a little more, control on your part.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Anything else, Tim?
No, we're not talking about the extension of hours on this particular thing, right?
No, I don't know if you want to bring that up.
You
Because,
can, it is.
Because it could, what's that?
My understanding, Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, but because we're re-looking at this again, we do have the ability to modify conditions if needed.
That's correct, Dave. The entire CUP and all of the conditions are before you this evening.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we can, I'm trying to think of the right way to proceed here because I do have concern about the hour extension. And I don't know whether it's best to have kind of like a discussion with the applicant about, these concerns at this point in time, or when we're bringing it back to the commissioners for making a decision. Is that something we can get into now, or should we have it later in the hearing?
You could do it either way. It may
Okay.
make sense to do it now, just while you have the public hearing open. If you have concerns or questions you want the applicant to address. now
Okay.
is probably the best.
I won't do that now because I'm going to allow Raphael and Adam to ask their questions first, and then we can get into that later. So Raphael.
Sure. So I have a few questions related to the increase in hours. First off, have you discussed your proposed increase in hours with the police department? Because I know that the staff report stated that you'd gone over the proposed change from a type 41 to a type 47, and the police department didn't have any issue with that. But I'm curious as to whether they have any potential concerns with the increased duration. And secondly, I note that your current business hours are from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday. So you would be opening an hour later pretty much every day except for Sunday then?
Hours that are listed now were hours that we were able to be open. But since we reopened post-COVID, we just opened at 7 a.m. across the board. So we would not necessarily be changing, and that really could stay the same if you'd prefer not to change, to change as little as possible. But right now we are opening at 7 a.m. So if you'd like to leave that the same and we can leave that open for a future date, we would be fine to do that. To answer the second, the previous part of your question, we have discussed in pretty intensive detail our business plan with the law enforcement agency here in Pinole that we greatly admire and respect. And we have looked at what is already a precedent that is set. For example, Pear Street right now is doing those hours, and they have a similar model in that they offer cocktails and dinner service. And so we felt like it would be consistent across the board, and also allow us to double up on when people come to Pinole, they know what they can expect as far as being able to go someplace for dinner and maybe for some drinks in a nice dining experience. So that was taken into consideration as well to be consistent with what is already happening in town.
May I ask a follow-up question to your preferred? I guess I can, but I'm the chair now. Have you discussed this with the neighbors?
We have, yes. We have a couple of different timetables that back when we originally got our original music use permit, actually, if you go back to that original document, the hours are later, a little bit later. And so we don't feel like there will be any issue in that it will be in keeping with the service that we had already done pre-COVID, and is just going to be allowing us to have a fuller dinner service, especially on the weekends.
Okay. Raphael, I'm sorry to interject, but do you have any other questions?
No, those were my main questions linked to that new topic of discussion just now.
Okay, Adam?
Yeah, I guess, and again, I wasn't part of the original conditional use permit, but what has changed to drive the need for, the different type of liquor license for the dinner service? What's changed since that first happened in the applicant's mind of how they're approaching, the dinner service? Change now instead of back then.
You want to answer that?
I can, yes. At the time, we've been evolving on a regular basis. And in keeping up with the post-COVID nature of our business, we are doing everything we can to offer a full service opportunity for our events and our dinner service. And we felt like at this juncture, adding to our craft beer, Napa Valley wine, a craft cocktail service would round out what is going to be our food menu. We've been evolving in forward motion since we opened to better serve the community and to have a broad expression of what East Bay coffee is. So we feel like being able to add a craft cocktail to round out our offerings complements what we're already doing and will complement the food menu in the best possible way.
Do you see this as being a full bar, or is this more of just 2 or 3 select craft cocktails?
Well, the license would be a type 47 license, which would allow us to serve, for example, we will have a list of craft cocktails that you would come in and it would be a pairing with your meal. But if someone asked for a margarita or a martini, it would be typical for even a craft cocktail bar to be able to serve a standard cocktail as ordered by a patron.
Any other questions, Adam?
No, I'm good. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to express some of my concerns. First of all, when you first came to the community, and you've been a very wonderful addition to the community.
Thank you.
You originally started with the idea of being a community gathering place where you would have music that would be kind of like giving people a chance to play. And now you're expanding it to, being a full service restaurant. And I have nothing against that. I think it's a great idea. But are you still planning on having music?
I'm glad you asked that. Absolutely. And for anybody listening, we are very excited about our updates that we are making and looking at having an intimate, content created, well curated space so that we can bring back our community musicians and our house band and singer-songwriter nights and all the things that we offered. But we feel like we are going to be able to update and refresh those offerings so that it will be even a more integral part of what we're offering in the community. So yes, we are bringing it back.
No, I understand that. If I remember correctly, I mean, this is going back many years. I've lost a lot of brain cells since then. My understanding is that the music was just acoustical, that there was no amplifiers.
Well, that is, we did do quite a bit of acoustic music, but it was definitely amplified. And also the really cool thing about it was that we had the ability to do recordings and live. We will have the ability in the future to do live streaming. So it was amplified for purposes of clarity and mix and recording. Yes, we did do amplified music.
And I recall you do have tenants living above, or am I confusing it with something else?
There are apartments that are above, and the landlord has, it's a part of our original music use permit that those tenants understand the nature of the business that they are living above and are good with the scenario as it stands.
Okay, I'm going, now that I built the basis, I'm going to express my concerns to you about expanding the hours. I think the biggest concern is the impact on the neighbors, that if you have, if you have serving in the outdoor area that's right next door to people's bedrooms and, going to 10 or 11 o'clock, I think could be an imposition on them. Would you consider just limiting the hours to the indoor part for the extended hours? Or would you expect the outdoor?
Yes, we would be willing to make that concession. Absolutely. And I will just take a moment to say that there were a lot of concerns early on by neighbors, and we are very happy to say that we have a lot of neighbors that have moved in the last 3 or 4 years, and we have a very strong relational integrity with our neighborhood at this point, and we have received a lot of support because of the efforts that we have made to be good neighbors and to make sure that the integrity of the neighborhood is protected. I don't know if any of you have been over to see the fence, but if you look into the yard, we made the height quite a bit higher for the neighbors right on the other side that would be most effective, and the neighbors to the rear. And we have done quite a bit of extensive communicating with the people that are most affected by our business to make sure that they feel like their privacy is intact and that we can do business and they can have their privacy. So we're very proud of those relationships that we've established and the goodwill that we've been able to nurture there.
Okay, thank you. Not exactly how to proceed here because we may be having a discussion refining this condition later on, but we can go back, Alex, and talk to the applicant about whether what we decide is acceptable to them. So I can go on with the rest of the public hearing now to see if there's any. I think we're done with you
Okay.
for now. You're still under oath, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, although we never did put you under oath, but that's okay. Justin, do we have any other, anybody wants to speak on this?
No, there's no one online right now.
Okay, then, and that'll, close the public, close the public hearing, close the, I'm not gonna close anything, I'm just gonna proceed. It's been such a long time since I've been in chair, I'm not exactly sure. We'll close public comment for this. That's what we'll do. I'll put a gavel on it to make it official. So I will bring it up to the commissioners for discussion. And Adam, I'm kind of you're the next. You notice I'm kind of alternating between who gets to speak. And
Yeah. I don't really have an issue, I think, with the changing the liquor type license. I do agree with on the hours. I do like the idea of being consistent with the other. And Dave, I do agree with your point of limiting the outdoor portion of the hours, because 11 o'clock and it does seem a little bit late to.
okay. Anything else, Adam?
Nope.
Okay, Raphael.
So I've got a few questions. I would look through the conditions of approval. I didn't really see any particularly linked to the music or amplified music portion, I guess, because that's under a separate permit. But I'm wondering, and this may be more a question for staff, is the music permit purely for inside the building or is it also for outside the building? Because if there's amplification outside the building, that might be a point of concern in the later hours. Secondarily, condition number 25, or I guess it's 26, the variant that I have here, it's got slightly misstated conditions. But condition number 26 says no alcoholic beverage delivery shall be made to the site between the hours of 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. And I'm wondering how alcoholic beverage deliveries is interpreted there. Is it just outside vendor delivering raw alcohol, or does it expand out enough to catch, say, waiters taking alcohol to the outside patio area?
That refers to vendors delivering,
Yeah.
making deliveries to the business, not employees delivering to customers.
Yeah.
Right.
And of course, if the applicant's going to accept the modification of the hours to have the extended hours be indoor only, then my question about whether the music is outdoors or indoors is a bit moot, but I'd ask since they're here.
That might be an interesting condition to add, because you're absolutely right that the music was addressed way back in 2013 or whenever this was first proposed, or even longer. I forget when it was. I know we have the thing here, but the history of it, but it was an indoor music assumption, and it might behoove us to put a condition in there about music being outside, limiting that those hours.
Do we have a condition like that when we approved the outdoor area as a whole?
I don't believe we did. I don't think that we addressed the
No.
music.
No.
I think, I think it was just,
Well, we can do a number of different things. We can, if the commissioners want to, we can amend condition 16 to change it. Hours, indoor, outdoor.
yeah. Yeah, I think we, I think we might want to consider it. I don't know how the rest of the commissioners feel about that, but about further defining what's allowed on the outdoor area versus the indoor area, just to,
So-
again, to minimize the impact on the neighbors.
Yeah, and from what I heard, we didn't define the hours for the music.
I don't
David, you're
recall.
muted.
I believe when the, the use was first approved, there was no outdoor component of it.
No,
Oh, okay, and then,
They're not
and then we added the outdoor portion with the fence. Okay,
Right,
Okay.
that's
And the
why-
alcohol, but we didn't talk about the music.
yeah,
yeah,
as I recall, I don't think I think that it's kind of implicit when we did the first approval of this, that the music would go, that the hours of the opening would coincide with the hours of the music. And I don't know when we expanded the outdoor area, I think it was something that maybe wasn't really seriously looked at the time,
yeah,
about whether there could be music out there or not. But this gives us an opportunity to clarify any restrictions if we feel that that needs to be done. So, Raphael, you have the mic right now.
That's all of my questions / comments at the moment. More may come up later, of course.
Sure, of course. Tim?
HP Coffee's been here for quite a while now. And just like any other business in the downtown that's been here a while, they evolve. They start with a basic format, and they realize, oh, maybe we should try this. This might be a good idea, and they try things, and it changes a little bit. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's natural for the businesses, especially in a downtown setting like that, to evolve over time as a result of something that would be beneficial to the public. So I don't have a problem with any of this, really. It sounds like in terms of sound and whatnot, everything is going to more or less roll up around 9 o'clock anyway. So, and
That's not true. They're asking for the hours to be.
well, no, well, what I'm saying is the hours of serving is one thing and dinner is one thing, but if the outside tends to close later, or then that wouldn't or earlier, I wouldn't bother me. I don't see a problem with extending the hours. It would be nice if there was something to go to a little bit later at night, kind of keeps the downtown a little more vibrant, and there's other places that are already open, like Lisa already said. And it just adds to the options that you have when you go downtown, if you're going to go out to dinner or whatever. So I'm okay with the extended hours. And keep in mind that, if this were one island in a big residential area, that would be one thing, but this is an area that's a shared residential and commercial. So both sides, I'll say, I mean, not really sides, but both entities are well aware of the other. People moving into that area or live in that area knew full well they were a half a block away from essentially downtown. So I am not, I think of it as more of a shared, a coexistence of uses, because that's the way, it's been that way since the beginning of time, pretty much. I mean, before East Bay Coffee was there were other businesses along the way. There were houses and businesses right next to each other along that part of San Pablo Avenue since, pretty much turn of the century and earlier. So that's part of the nature of what makes Pinole Pinole. And that's also some of the stuff we've lost over the time of year, which now in, from about the, late 90s and early 2000s, we were trying to get those things back. Back we used redevelopment to generate things like developing Tina's, and certainly have had other businesses expand themselves over time. So I think it's all a part of the character of the downtown. And so the more character we have, the more of a place that's going to be attractive for people to go to. And then that all turns into, successful businesses, and then it turns into, some business tax, and then everybody is benefiting from that. And it's a fun place to go. Maybe instead of going off to some other city or whatever, you go downtown. So I think it's pretty important to maintain the possibilities in order to do that. So it's not that far to see this as a natural progression of their business in terms of where they started and where they are now. And so I'm in favor of this, and I'm okay. Like I've said, I'm okay with their hours change. So I think that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, thank you, Tim. I agree with you about the evolution of the businesses and that there are other venues in this area, like, I won't mention their names just for competitive reasons or whatever.
You have to mention all of them.
I have to mention all of them, which is why I'm not doing it, because I know I would forget one. But I think this business is unique compared to the other venues in that the proximity to residential area, it's a lot closer. If you go in the back street there, you have a very solid residential area, and of course next door to them too, it's residential, whereas the other ones just have maybe some apartments that are well soundproofed above them. And I am concerned about the noise of the the impact on the neighbors of the outdoor area. And so I'm a little bit hesitant to expand the hours for the full facility, indoor and outdoor. I have no problem whatsoever about expanding the hours for the inside area. But I wonder if, if we could either not allow expanded hours for the outside area, or maybe make it a conditional use permit, if I can say that we could expand the hours, but we would like to have it reviewed after a year to see if the or at any time where the impact on the neighbors is not tolerable. But right now, I would prefer to see the outdoor area not become a concern for the neighbors as far as noise goes. But I don't know how the rest of the commission feels on that, whether we should, about expanding the hours, or we should, maybe make it limited to the indoor areas, or if we do expand it, to have this revisited within a year or so.
Dave, I do like limiting the hours of the outdoor area, and we, yeah, we can do it this way right now, but we're going to revisit in 6 months or a year. And we have a right to reserve the, the ability to retract it or something. How do we do that?
You could,
Well, I mean,
you could put that condition in here, but once once you grant them the right to operate in a certain way, that's a vested right they have. And so if you want to take it away after you review it in 6 months, you'd have to go through, or a year or whatnot, you'd have to go through the same process as you would to, revoke a use permit or revoke that, just to take away that right to operate in those hours. And you just would have to, there's a burden that the planning commission, that the city would have to make that change.
Yeah, see, my concern about, I know that the, proprietors here have been very concerned about the neighbors. But we always look at the future, what happens when they sell and there's new people coming in here or start pushing the limits. So I think we have to keep that in mind when we're developing these conditions of approval. That we're looking for a bad owner. We're looking at a bad owner taking over, and looking at what kind of implications that might have to the neighbors. So I'm a little bit uncomfortable. I'm not uncomfortable about expanding hours indoor. I think that you've got a business to run. And, I think that we want you to be competitive. But I'm also concerned about the proximity. I mean, you're talking about houses being relatively adjacent to the property or across the street from the property. And any noise that goes on to 10 or 11 is going to be obviously an inconvenience for their neighbors. So I'm kind of torn about that. But I think before we get into that, I think before we get into that, I'd like to go through the conditions that have been proposed and see if we can come up with some agreement before we tackle that question about the hours, if that's okay with the commission. Because I think we're kind of in agreement that we do approve the expansion of the alcohol. I think we're pretty much in agreement with that. I think what we're looking at is just kind of some refinement in the conditions, and I'm going to leave the big one to last. I'd like to go to condition number 4. I forgot to ask you about how you would get, the feelings. In fact, if you may step at the podium again, I'd like to get your thoughts on how to serve alcohol to the outdoor area. About, because the recommendation made by the staff is that there's a concern about going out on the sidewalk and kind of going around. Would there be a direct access for the customers to the alcohol area? Will your employees have direct access to serving the people in the area?
We did, in the construction, there's a rear service entrance to the outdoor area for the servers. And that was the intention. It was the intention to use that area for what we would call a runner who would take the order to the outdoor area.
So I think what you're saying is that you envision that the patrons would not be able to go to the bar and say, give me a drink and then walk out around the area. So it would be
Yes.
an interesting condition just to say that I think what we may need to modify that saying is all alcoholic drinks shall be made inside the restaurant. Servers will, I want to say serve, that sounds, servers will serve, doesn't sound very good. Outside patrons.
And maybe I misunderstood the applicant, but it sounds like they were saying all alcoholic service will be table service, not bar service.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah. We
Okay,
would be bringing the drinks already made to the patrons on the outside.
okay, so we would just say that all alcohol service will be table service only. Inside or outside? We need to make a distinction,
There's no need.
okay? Does the rest of the commission agree with that modification? Anybody object?
Yeah, that's fine.
I guess one point of concern I have with the condition as it reads, and I don't know, table service may mitigate this entirely, it may not. But right now, it seems like it reads basically drinks get made inside the restaurant, and patrons can't take the alcohol from the indoor eating to the outdoor eating area, but they could effectively just take it out.
I think we
To
should
go.
take that out. I think we should take that wording out.
So I'm curious as to whether the type 47 license allows for customers to just take their alcohol out into public rights of way as to go, or whether it requires alcohol to be consumed on the premises.
It requires alcohol to be consumed on premises. And if you look at the very next condition, signage concerned in California, law prohibiting minors to drink alcohol and signage prohibiting loitering or public drinking must be posted at the establishment in clear public view.
Sure, but loitering or public drinking doesn't necessarily cover removing alcohol and just taking it in your car or something. So I wanted to clarify whether or not alcoholic beverages could leave the establishment, because that seemed like a gap in the condition. If the license bars that, then there's not an issue with that.
Okay, I think, yeah, I'm not sure how much we want to condense that, because I think you're absolutely right about taking that, no patrons can take alcohol from indoor eating or outdoor eating area to outdoor eating area. I think that is unnecessary. I don't know whether we need to include all alcoholic drinks shall be made inside the restaurant. But I do like the phrasing about all alcohol will be table service only, because that would satisfy the condition. So with that in mind, Raphael, what do you think that we should modify that to be?
I think that modifying the condition to be all alcoholic drinks shall be made inside restaurant and served via table service only would be fine.
Okay. Concurrence of the rest of the commission.
That's okay. It's a little cleaner than what's here.
Okay. That's our job. That's why we get the big bucks here, you know. Does anybody have any other issues with conditions other than the hours? I had a minor one with, what is it? Condition number 23. It says that no wine should be sold with alcohol content registering greater than 17% by volume except ports, sherries, et cetera. Since this is going to be a full service license, is that phraseology, the condition really necessary? Because they obviously, you know, the patrons can obviously get a higher alcohol content drink with distilled liquors. I'm throwing that up to staff. What you think? Do we need that condition? Don't all jump in at once.
Sounds like it's a beer and wine license.
That's
Dave,
what I-
was there a reason you want to keep this in there? You're on mute.
That was just one of the conditions that was as part of the last conditional use permit with the alcohol, so I left it in there. I didn't touch that one. I don't know, I mean, to be honest, I'm not quite sure content of the 17% or greater by volume. I think that would just is with the beer and wine license, so I mean, they could be stricken if
I'm kind of inclined to scratch that condition because this is a a more encompassing liquor license. And I agree with you, Raphael. I think that this is kind of a vestige from when the beer and wine license was granted. Commission, right?
Yeah, I would get rid of that.
Okay,
I'm fine with striking that.
okay. Adam, just give us a,
Yeah, yeah, it's fine.
thank you, okay? Those are the only conditions that I had comments on. Does anybody else have any modifications before we take the expansion of time? Okay, not seeing anybody jumping up with let's take on the request for expanding the hours as the applicant requested, which I believe was Monday through Wednesday to 10 p.m.
Sunday through Wednesday,
Was that
Sunday through Wednesday,
Sunday
Until
through Wednesday, 10 p.m.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday until 11.
Okay. All right. Consensus of commission.
Okay with this.
You say those the same hours that are Pear Street?
I don't know
Yes.
what the Pear Street hours are.
Currently, they are 11 or 10 and 11. I believe that they are 11 Wednesday through Saturday or Sunday.
They had some kind of particular thing about Super Bowl days and stuff like that, where they would expand it. I don't remember the exact thing, but I think it was that they were allowed sort of like 4 days a year or something like that.
For special events. Yeah.
Yeah, because their website still says 9 and 10, 9 during the week, 10 a week.
It did,
Right.
yeah, there were a couple of different things that happened, and I'm not sure if they made that change after COVID, but I actually went down there this week to double check. So it's listed that way on their door. I may be mistaken. I certainly.
Okay, where are we? Who's speaking? It's kind of confusing to have people from the sky coming and talking. Adam, were you saying something?
Saying, I could see it being, I think, or it should be limited to, an hour or so earlier, just to keep it.
I think what you're saying is that you have no problem with expanding the hours indoor, but you have, might want to
Yes.
limit it outdoor. Okay,
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and I think we should take care of it now. I don't think we should. Yet, or, it sounds like it's more cumbersome, so I think we should just address it now.
We'd be very happy with that. If I
you'd be
could
very
do that.
happy with that.
Yes, that would be fine.
I'd be very happy with that too.
So are we talking about like an hour earlier or something like that?
We're talking about expanding the hours for the indoor portion to Sunday through Wednesday to 10 p.m. and and the hours for what we'd be modifying for the hours for the inside only, but the outdoor area would still be 9 o'clock. Okay. All right. Who's recording all this? Is it David or Alex or Justin about the change in the conditions? So I
We
think
all know.
we are. Raphael, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I had a few comments. First off, I think I noted down earlier in the meeting, the applicant said they were willing to have the extended hours be indoor only. And secondly, I note there's a couple of conditions already built into the condition of approval that allow for addressing of concerns. Condition number 12, I think it is, says the operators will provide a phone number and email address for customers or neighbors to bring forward concerns or complaints that directly relate to the operation of the establishment, and that's an ongoing condition. And there was one clause, I'm trying to see if I can find the exact condition. I know that condition number 14 basically had number 18 is the one I'm looking for on page number 4. The operation of the use results in documented valid conflicts related to parking, lighting, noise, nuisance, traffic, or other impacts. At the direction of staff, the use permit may be referred to the planning commission for subsequent review at a public hearing and possible relocation to accordance with Title 17 of the Pinole Municipal Code. So it seems as though if the increased hours do cause problems, that we already have a condition in the conditions of approval that will allow us to deal with it, at least one, possibly several.
Yeah, but if I understand what Alex said, that's more cumbersome, that what we'd be looking at is if there are complaints, that we'd be looking at their revocation of the revision of the CLP. I'm kind of inclined that we go for what we think is going to work rather than something else.
Yeah, I'm just saying we don't need to put a timer on the condition because we
No, we
already
don't.
have a separate condition that says if there's problems, staff can bring it back to the planning commission.
That's how it is for a lot of establishments in town where they've had things
Mhm.
extended, where they say if it goes bad on you, then it comes back to planning commission to review for the relocation. That's pretty typical in a lot of places in town. So I agree with what Raphael's saying is the way this is pretty much doing it. Because it does it for other places in town
Yeah.
already.
I would like to see that condition changed to what we've been kind of driving at, is that the hours for the inside portion of the restaurant shall be as, as the applicant would like, Sunday through Wednesday to 10 p.m. and Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday be 11 p.m. And then say that the hours for the outdoor part would still remain at 9 p.m.
So maybe a way to structure that would be the operating hours for the exterior portion shall be, and then that have it be as it is now, and then next sentence have it be the operating hours for the interior portion will be from 7 to 10 Sunday through Wednesday, and then from 7 to 11 Thursday through Saturday, and then leave the rest of the condition the same.
Yep. Yeah, so we basically designate different hours for the, you're using big, we're using inside and outside, and you came up with the interior and exterior. That's, more syllables. Yeah. Which is better.
That means you're modifying 16 then for that.
Modifying
Yeah.
16. So I think that we have an understanding about whoever is recording all this about for that condition to distinguish between the interior portion of the restaurant versus the exterior portion, where the interior hours are as the applicant would like, which would be extending the closing times to 10 p.m. on Sunday through Wednesday, and Thursday through Saturday be 11 p.m. And then keep the hours for the exterior portion to be as stated in condition 16.
We will rewrite the condition and then you will see it in its new form.
Great. I think we may have a wrap here. Anybody else want to change and modify anything before we seek approval?
Commissioners, just to summarize, condition of approval 4 would be changed to say all alcoholic drinks shall be made inside restaurant, and all alcoholic service will be table service only. Condition 16 will be changed to say the operating hours, the operating hours shall be 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday through Wednesday, and 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Thursday through Saturday, except that the exterior portion of the premises shall close at 9 PM. And then with the rest of that condition, and then condition 23 will be deleted.
Yeah, I think it'd be better for condition 16, just to say the operating hours for the interior portion of or the exterior portion. Let's say the operating hours for the interior portion of the restaurant shall be 6 AM to 10 PM, Sunday through Wednesday, and 7 AM. You want, to get consistency, you want to say, let's say 6 AM for, because doesn't mean you have to open up at 6 AM. But just to make it easier, we'll just say 6 AM to 10 PM, Sunday through Wednesday, and 6 AM to 11 PM, Thursday, Friday and Saturday. The exterior portion of the restaurant, the operating hours for the exterior portion of the restaurant shall be 6 AM to 9 PM, Monday through Friday, and 7 AM to 9 PM. Why don't you just make it 6 AM to 9 PM, all days? There's really no need to, this change, it just makes it easier. So the exterior hours would be 6 AM to 10 PM on a daily, Monday through Sunday, and the interior would be Sunday through Wednesday, 6 AM to 10 PM, and then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 6 AM to 11 PM. So you got that, Alex? Okay. I am one to be a little bit generous with the hours of service, because I don't want you coming back to us and saying, oh gosh, we really like to open up at 6 AM when the condition says 7. I'd kind of like to avoid, having you come back. So if that's okay with you,
That's lovely. Yes, thanks very much.
okay.
Question to the chair. In the final readout, you said that the exterior area should be 6 to 10. Did you want it to be 6 to 10 or 6 to 9?
6 to 9. 6 to 9. If I said that, I misspoke. Wouldn't be the first time. Okay, are we all in agreement? Anybody want to make a motion to accept the whatever it is?
Yeah, I'll make the motion. We approve the conditional use permit to allow on-site alcohol sales for East Bay Coffee Country. Oops, this is the old one. The change in, let me say, allowing the change in alcohol sales from beer and wine only to distilled spirits, with the conditions that we change the hours from 6 AM to 10 PM Sunday through Wednesday, and 6 AM to 11 PM Thursday through Sunday.
For the internal area.
Yeah, well, let me finish.
Okay,
For that was for the interior. For the exterior, the same hours, except that always closes at 9 PM. And we're deleting condition of approval described a percentage of alcohol 23. And one other one, or did we combine them together?
we had the table service only.
Oh, yeah, and that the alcohol will be table service only.
That's condition number 4.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, I think Alex had probably had wordsmith this better before, but
Yeah, whatever.
okay. I'll accept that motion. Is there a second?
Second that.
Thank you, Adam. Any discussion?
So if we're voting in favor of this motion, would we be going for Alex's language or will we be going for the language that Tim just used?
Go for Alex's language, because it's all legalese.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that because I think there was a slight difference in terms of the hours. I think you said Thursday through Sunday was to 11 or whatever. So just wanted to make sure we were.
The
clear.
intent was the same.
We understand the intent of that.
Okay, yeah, we had wordsmith that earlier. And sometimes when you're making the motion, it's sort of like your mind jumbles. Okay, clarification? Accepted?
Yep, that clarification is fine by me.
Okay, any other comments? Before I bring this to a vote? Okay, Justin, or who's, I don't know who's in charge here, David or?
Well, we can have Justin, he's at the meeting.
Sounds good. So Commissioner Benzuli,
Aye.
Commissioner Menace,
Aye.
Commissioner Banuelos.
Aye.
And Chair Curran.
Hi,
All right, motion carries.
4-0. Okay. We can go have a nice drink there at 10 o'clock. When can we do that? Thank you very much. You've been a credit to our community, and I know when you came with the proposal, as I understood you, this was kind of like a love for you to do that, where you really wanted to have a community effect, and of course you've expanded that, but I know that your interest is in Pinole and making it a place to come, so we really appreciate that. Thank you, and again, thank you. Thank you. Okay, that hearing is closed. We have no other items on the hearings on the agenda. So we'll go to old business. We have none. New business, we have none. City planners and commissioners report. Mr. Hannum, do you have anything?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things just to kind of keep the commission updated on. We're moving forward with, we think we'll have the Pinole Vista project to you guys at the end of July. So we've been working with the applicant. They've made some changes to the project, and so we're reviewing all of those, trying to get those. The Pinole Square project, like I mentioned earlier, we are going to go to the house for an extension here fairly shortly, probably the second meeting in July.
What was that? It kind of garbled a little bit.
It's the extension. We're going to do an extension for the Pinole Square project. We'll be bringing that forward to the council.
Which
here
is
fairly shortly.
which is a Safeway project.
Yeah, the Safeway project, AP and 80. So,
Okay,
we are working on the Pinole Shores 2 project right now. We've got the environmental hired and moving forward with our needs assessment for the applicants. So we're moving forward with that project. You probably won't see that until the end of the fall, winter. So we're looking October, November range, hopefully to get that to you. We are working on, of course, we're still working on the housing element. We just had some community workshops, pretty well attended even for virtual. We got probably 20, 30 people show, so that's really good. And you guys have a joint meeting coming up here, I think on the 13th of July or the 12th of July with the city council on that. So that'll be coming up for you guys. Also working on, Justin and I are working on the parklet stuff. We'll be bringing that to the ad hoc committee probably later in the month. We want to get that in here fairly shortly. We're also working on, of course, the department's going through doing a lot of different things. We just contract to get our upgraded permitting software to going. So for planning and building, so that's going forward. Part of community development, we also have economic development, an old perks program, which is something that Lily started, is moving forward and getting a lot of positive traction. I think that's a good project for the city, and we can get you more. That's about it. Unless you have any other questions about anything, I'll be happy to answer.
thank you, David. Do any commissioners have any comments? I'll start with Tim.
Yeah, where are we at with the Old Town guidelines and all that stuff?
Yeah, I think you may not have been at the last meeting, There were some delays when SB9 went into effect. And some guidance from the Attorney General and some letters he sent to Pasadena regarding their historic preservation guidelines, but we've sorted that out now, and our goal is to have them to you. To be frank, there are some other things that the city council has directed us to work on that are more time sensitive, just in the next meet timeframe, but we would expect them to go back to the city council in the early fall. And those won't be coming back to the planning commission because the planning commission already viewed it and then it went up to the city council, and the city council had delegated it down to that committee to report back.
Do you have anything else? Raphael?
I have questions about this report. Seems like we're going to have a bunch of stuff coming up over the next few months. So it should be interesting to see it all.
Yeah. Adam?
Yeah, I heard joint city council and planning commissioning on July. Or that now that can be communicated to us.
Regards to the housing element. So in the general plan elements that are being amended as part of the housing element update. So yeah, that's been on the agenda for a little bit. And now we can, it's pretty much set in stone. I'll get you the time. I thought I did that already. I thought I did that all to you guys.
Out of it right now, though. That's
Yes, and I like to close by, saw an obituary for Tim's mother, I believe it was your mother, and I just want to extend ours and the commission's condolences to you. I know it's very hard. And I would like to adjourn this meeting to the memory of Mary Ellen Benuelos. When it comes time for adjournment, but I just want to express our condolences to you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the city council was very gracious in what they did as well. And I had talked at length with the mayor, and he was very, very nice and reached out, and it was very good.
Great. I know it's she lived a long life, but you know what? Doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So it's a loss. And my condolences. So unless there's anything else, our next planning commission regular meeting is July 11th, 2022 at 7 p.m. And as I said before, I'd like to adjourn this meeting to the memory of Mary Ellen Benuelos.
All right. I did see a hand raised online from Vincent Salimi. Looks like it.
Okay, well,
Okay.
since he's our boss, I guess we better let him speak.
Okay, Vincent, you're available to speak now.
Thank you again. And Commissioner Badonos, I do think about your mom, and all my condolences again. And it was a pleasure to close the previous city council meeting in honor of your mother. This being said, I would like to also let all the commissioner know that the work that you are doing, it's terrific. It's wonderful. Every time I go to my mayor's meeting, I only get good things. I only hear good things about the city of Pinole and the work that you have been doing for the last few years. And Pinole is actually being looked at as one of the top city right now in the West Contra Costa County for the work that has been done and the work that has been approved. So I'm very proud of the work you're doing, and I wanted to thank you on behalf of the city and on behalf of the city council. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other issues?
Nope, that was it.
Okay, and I would like to adjourn this meeting to the memory of Mary Ellen Benuelos. Thank you.